This is actually about Mahajanpads, but before we go to Mahajanpads in this lesson, we will just read about the standing army and taxation system of the Vedic period. The standing army, the real increase in the state power, అనేది ఇంక్రీజ్ అయింది కాబట్టి it found its expression on a solid basis. It found its expression on a solid basis in the form of a in the formation of the standing army. State power అనేది ఇంక్రీజ్ అయింది కాబట్టి they had started forming a standing army. So the growing prominence of the army is evident. Growing prominence of the army is evident from the he was Sena Nayaka was given a very good place. So it was given place in the list of high functionaries. Sena Nayaka was given a profound or important place in the list of high functionaries. And the Nandas possessed an army. Nandas ane tribes anamata. The Nandas, they possessed an army consisting of 20,000 cavalry and 2 lakh infantry and 2,000 chariots and 3,000 elephants. Nandas possessed 20,000 cavalry, 2,000 infantry and 2 lakh infantry. 2,000 chariots and 3,000 elephants ఉన్నాయంట వాళ్ళకి స్టాండింగ్ ఆర్మీ, ద నందాస్. The army was mainly consisting of పట్టి అంటే ఇన్ఫాంట్రీ అంటే సోల్జర్స్, ఫుట్ సోల్జర్స్ అనమాట. ఇన్ఫాంట్రీ అంటే పట్టి. అండ్ రథిన్స్ అంటే చారియట్స్. Rathins were called chariots. The weapons used by the soldiers were bows, arrows and swords, axes and the spears. All these were made up of iron. The soldiers were organized into units called Sardha. Sardha, Sardha, Vrata and Gana. The soldiers were organized into units called Sardha, Vrata and Gana. Bimbisara, even as a follower of Buddhist philosophy, has been described as Seniya with an army. Although he had, even Ashoka also, even though they followed Buddhist philosophy, they had their army to defend themselves. Bimbisara was described as Seniya with an army. He was perhaps the first king to have a regular standing army. Bimbisara was the first king to have a regular standing army. Chariots were losing importance not only in the northeastern part but also in the northwestern part of India, where they were introduced by the Aryans. Chariots were slowly losing their importance. The most striking difference in the composition of the army between the Magadha and composition of the army between the Magadha and the northwestern India lay in the use of elephants by the Magadhan Empire. So everybody were scared of the Magadha elephants, by the elephants of Magadha Empire. The taxation system. Gautama makes us assume that in the beginning the royal share was 1/12, but gradually they settled it down to 1/6 of the total produce. Bhaga, 1/6 of the total produce. The taxes. Gautama, so he makes us assume that starting lo the royal share, king ki ఇవ్వాల్సిన share only 1/12, that is bhaga is only 1/12 అనేది ఉండేది. But gradually they settled it down to 1/6 of the total produce. I had produced something, so 1/6 of the produce should be given to the king anamata. Taxes were collected directly by the royal agents with the help of the village headman in both cash and kind. They were collected by the help of village headman in both cash and kind. But in the northeastern India, payments were made in paddy, as is evident from the Buddhist texts. So northeastern India lo matuku only they were making payments in paddy anamata. It is evident from the Buddhist texts. Okay, peasants were further subjected to corvée for royal work. Peasants were further subjected to కార్వీ అనేది రాయల్ వర్క్ కోసం, అక్కడ రాయల్ వర్క్ ప్యాలెసెస్ ఏదైనా కట్టడానికి వాళ్ళ పైన వేసే సెస్ లాగేమో. దే వర్ ఫస్ట్ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు కార్వీ, CORVIE for the royal work. So according to the law books, the artisans were made to work once for the king. Okay, and the traders had to pay the taxes on the sale of their commodities. Again, we will study all this in the Mahajanpads. The traders had to pay taxes to sell their commodities. The artisans, they had to work in their work for the king at least once. So like this they had to pay the taxes anamata. Peasants, they had to submit their royal work kosam, they had to submit the extra sales type corvée. So the above mentioned taxes were all collected by the toll officer known as Saulkika, Saulkika. It was collected by Saulkika in Dharmashastra, it was mentioned, or Sulka Dhyaska in Pali text. In Pali text, it was written as Sulkam. Sulka Daika, Daiksa, Sulka Sulka Daiksa in Pali texts. So warriors and priests, Kshatriyas and Brahmins were exempted. They were exempted from paying the taxes, and thus main burden was borne by peasants and mainly Vaishyas. So the main burden was borne by peasants and mainly Vaishyas, because the Kshatriyas and the Brahmins were exempted from the paying taxes. The philosophical schools in the Vedic literature. On the basis of Vedic literature, there are six philosophical schools, also called as Shad Darshans and Darshanas, or Shad Darshanas. Shad and six, Darshans and philosophy. So 6 philosophical schools along with, according to Vedic literature. First one was Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy was written by Kapila Maharshi. Sankhya philosophy and maths, like Sankhya philosophy was written by Kapila Maharshi. It is the oldest philosophy, and it talks about the dualistic philosophy of Atma and Prakriti. Dualistic philosophy talks about the oldest philosophy, talks about the philosophy of the Atma and Prakriti, the soul and the nature, between the philosophy and soul and nature. The second, and Advaita Vedanta derives its base from its philosophy. The Advaita Vedanta, Vedantaslo Advaita Vedanta, it derives its base from this Sankhya philosophy. Next one is Yoga philosophy. It was founded by Patanjali. Yoga, Patanjali. And then Vaiseshika philosophy. Vaiseshika philosophy's founder was Kannada Rishi. Vaiseshika, Kannada Rishi. Then it talks about metaphysics, and universe is reduced to finite number of atoms. And it talks about the metaphysics, and it says this universe is reduced to finite number of atoms. And then Nyaya philosophy, the founder was Gautama. Indakuda chusam kada, the taxation system was Gautama Mahamuni. So Nyaya philosophy founder was Gautama Muni. He says that in order to gain the knowledge, one should use all his sense, which is the sole way of gaining knowledge. So one to gain the knowledge, one should use all his sense, which is the sole way of gaining all the knowledge. The next one is Mimamsa. Mimamsalo Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa and rendu unnai. So Purva Mimamsa founder was Gemini. Purva Mimamsa founder was Purva Gemini. So he confirmed complete authority, means he gave complete authority of the Vedas through Karma Kanda. He confirmed complete authority of the Vedas through Karma Kanda. One can attain Jnana Kanda, that is pursuit of knowledge. Through Karma Kanda, he said that to get the complete authority of the Vedas, what you should do, to get the complete authority on the Vedas, you should do Karma Kanda through Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda ante actions dwara you can get knowledge. Through Karma Kanda, one can attain the Jnana Kanda. Okay, then Purva Mimamsa was Gemini, and Uttara Mimamsa founder was Bhadra Narayana. Uttara Mimamsa founder was Bhadra Narayana. So this book written in Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. This Uttara Mimamsa book is written in Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. It is the Bible of Vedanta. It is this Uttara Mimamsa anedi, it is the Bible of Vedanta. So the 6 philosophical schools are Sankhya philosophy, Yoga philosophy, Vaiseshika philosophy, Nyaya philosophy, Mimamsalo Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. ಕಪಿಲ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ ಸಂಖ್ಯಾ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ, ಯೋಗ ಪತಂಜಲಿ, ವೈಶೇಷಿಕ ಕನ್ನಡ ಋಷಿ, ನ್ಯಾಯ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ಗೌತಮ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ, ಪೂರ್ವ ಮೀಮಾಂಸಾ ಜೈಮಿನಿ, ಪೂರ್ವ ಜೈಮಿನಿ, ಉತ್ತರ ಭದ್ರನಾರಾಯಣ.